All right, I think we'll start.
Cool.
So, welcome to the. I don't even know what to call this. We're ranking every Bond movie, I guess. All 24 of them. We both watched all of them over the course of what? 5 months? 4 months last year? Um. It was It was fun. It was interesting. So actually, Bop was the one that did it first. So, like, what made you actually want to do that?
I don't know. I realized I'd never seen any of them except for the Daniel Craig ones.
Yep.
And so one night I just watched the first one, Doctor No, and just decided to keep it going.
Yeah, and then he told me, and I'm like, that sounds good. Because, like, I've seen a few more than he had, so, like, I'll mention the ones I've seen before. But I had seen all the Daniel Craig ones and only, like, 2 or 3 other ones. And, like, it's such a legendary series, right? It's, like everyone knows who James Bond is, so I'm like, I gotta watch these movies, you know? And, like, we're both huge, like, cinephiles, I would say. Like, we watch movies all the time. Whenever we hang out, we almost always watch a movie or two anyways. So, we love movies, and So, I know this is going to be a thing. So, yes, there are 26 movies, Bond movies, but 2 of them are made by completely different companies, and they have nothing to do with the rest of them. So, we didn't watch those. I've also heard they're really bad. So, that's the first Casino Royale and Never Say Never Again, which are not related to these at all. So, we're not going to talk about them. Maybe I'll watch them at some point, but I really didn't have any desire to. Because, like I said, I think they're bad. All right, so before we start, a couple of things. So the first one is, I think for the most part, we're not going to talk about the plots, mainly because a lot of the plots are very similar. You know, Bond is assigned a mission to either get something that was stolen or protect something that's going to be stolen, or someone is kidnapped and he goes, he does it, and then it's over. And, you know, there's at least like 2 or 3 girls in each movie, and there are a few movies that have some more interesting plots, so like we'll mention those, but for the most part, a lot of them are very similar plot-wise. So it's not, it's not worth like talking about each plot, 'cause it's going to be a very similar thing over and over again. So we'll also talk about each of the actors the first time they've come up, because there have been 6 Bond actors. So we'll talk about all of them as well. And I think that's about it. There will be some spoilers. But like I said, it's not really that huge, because you don't watch it for the plot, really. You watch it because it's a cool spy movie and it has James Bond in it. All right. So, I've separated mine into 3 categories of movies. The first category is obviously my least favorite of all of them, and these I don't recommend you guys watch these. In fact, the only way that I would recommend anyone to watch them is if they want to watch every movie like we did.
At
least for me.
A couple of them are so bad they're fun.
That is true. True.
Which makes it worth the watch.
Or if you want to see how ridiculous some of the Bond movies were, because I feel like a lot of people, young people nowadays, have only seen the Daniel Craig ones. Maybe a couple Pierce Brosnan.
Right.
But if you look at the old ones, they're nothing like the new ones at all. It's like, it almost doesn't even feel like the same franchise.
No, it doesn't.
When you go back to the early ones. So if you want to see how ridiculous and silly they can get, I guess. But they're not going to be good movies. So just be prepared for that. All right. So with that, I think we'll start.
Yeah.
So my least favorite of all of them, I do not like this movie at all, obviously, and that is Diamonds Are Forever. This is Sean Connery's final Bond movie. His 6th Bond movie. He did 6 of them. And actually, right before this movie, some other actor came in and did it, which we'll talk about later. So he did 5 movies, and then he left, and then he came back, and he should not have come back. He clearly did not care. I'm pretty sure the only reason he came back is because he got paid a crap load of money. But this movie is terrible. This might have the worst acting in all the Bond movies, I think.
In terms of, like...
Overall? I think so.
Yeah.
I think it has the worst... It takes place mostly in Las Vegas, which is kind of cool, but for the most part, it's just really dirty. And all the cars are crappy, because it's, like, early 70s, like, American cars. Oh, my God. There are so many stupid things in this movie. What do we even talk about? So, they have these 2 really weird villains. So there are these two assassin guys, and I think they're supposed to be a couple. I think.
Yeah,
because they hold hands at one
and
point.
Stuff and yeah.
But this is the first like gay representation, and it is not good gay representation. No. They're the weirdest, like creepiest serial killer type of guys.
Terrible acting.
Terrible acting. Terrible writing. They just look weird. They make them look like ugly on purpose, and they kind of show up throughout the whole movie. And they never really, I mean, they make every scene worse just because of like how cringy they are. But the pinnacle of this is the very end of the movie, right? So Bond is already, beaten the bad guy, and he and the main Bond girl, who's also terrible, by the way. She's one of the worst Bond girls.
I don't remember who it is.
The only thing I remember is
who the Bond girl is.
He had the time where he had to switch the tapes to like change the targeting, and he switches them, and she screwed it up, and he yells at her. That's really the only thing I remember. That in this final scene. So in this final scene, they beat the bad guys. They're on a cruise for some. I don't remember why they're on a cruise.
Just cause.
But they're on a cruise, and then those two bad guys show up, and like they tie him to a chair, and then this one guy pulls out like a flaming shish kebab, and he's gonna stab her with it. And her reaction, she literally goes, "Yee!" It's the stupidest reaction to. She's gonna be freaking impaled by a flaming spear, basically, and she goes, "Yee!" So then, I don't remember what happened. Somehow Bond breaks free, and so that guy gets literally lit on fire. His partner, who I guess is also his like boyfriend or whatever, doesn't really seem to care at all. And then, the best part is, they bring this bomb in on this plate, right? And Bond like ties the bomb to him and throws him over the side of the boat. And do you want to do the noise? Because you're better.
Whoa!
He does the goofiest whoa, and then he just blows up.
Yeah.
It is. I was definitely laughing. So
this is one of, I think I have this and maybe one more movie where it's so bad that it's hilarious and it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
For sure. I would put this as one of those.
But it's so bad.
No, it's terrible.
Like like you said,
truly awful.
Worst acting. Sean Connery is one. He's way too old.
Yes.
Two, he does not care at all. The only good thing is that the theme song is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like the theme song a lot.
Yeah, it's a classic.
I mean, I'm sure most people know, but every Bond movie has its own theme song written by someone famous at the time, and they all have these like really cool. Well, some of them are cool visuals, but they're all trippy visuals. Most of the songs are like honestly pretty forgetting,
yes.
or like I don't remember most of them.
Yeah.
But we'll point out the ones that are actually good, and this is one of those. So yeah, my worst of all of them is Diamonds Are Forever. This is probably near your bottom too,
this
right?
This is my second least favorite.
It's bad, real bad.
I think your second least favorite is my least favorite.
So. Oh, but let's talk about Sean Connery.
Oh, just
the OG.
Okay, yeah.
The classic. So for those of you that don't know, Sean Connery was the first Bond, and he's great. I feel like if they did not get him, I don't think they would have been as good or as memorable, because he's perfect.
They wouldn't have kept going.
He's fantastic. He's the suavest of all of them.
Yes, he is the suavest.
He's very handsome.
Easily the suavest.
He looks great in suits. The way he talks is awesome. He just exudes coolness, except maybe in this movie.
And he's tall.
He's tall,
He's the tallest of all of them.
He is. But like I said, he should not have come back for this one, because this is by far his worst one, I think. Looking through my list, yeah, this is by far his worst one. But overall, Sean Connery is great. He's great. All right, number 23. I'm going to let Bob talk about this one, because this is his least favorite movie.
This is my least favorite.
This is View to a Kill. Many people might not even know this movie exists, because you don't hear about it, and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
So,
it's also hilarious that Grace Jones is on the cover when...
Yeah, she's not in it that much.
She does not play that big of a role. She was just famous at the time, so that's why they put her... Like, how you have her on it instead of Christopher Walken.
Yeah, well, I think that's him up there in the blimp.
Way up in the... Yeah, which is just crazy. She's not even the Bond girl. That makes her look like the Bond girl.
Yeah, she's not the Bond girl. She's a villain.
Yeah, she's like a very minor villain character.
Yeah.
I guess we can start by... I'll just slander Roger Moore really
quick. Let's talk about Roger Moore.
I hate that guy, dude. That dude was too old in his first movie.
He was.
And by the time it got to this, which was his last movie,
yes,
correct?
He was 57 years old in this movie.
57 years old, trying to, like, pretend that he's suave and athletic and cool.
He's also the least athletic of all the Bonds by far.
It was terrible.
You don't believe he can do any of this stuff at all. Like, oh my god, it's terrible. He's also not suave at all. He comes across as more like creepy, I think, a lot of the
Yes.
time. Because like most of the girls he's with are like half his age. So like the girl in this one is like, I don't know, 27 or something. And oh man, this movie is so bad. This might have the most worthless Bond. She's one of the most worthless Bond girls too, along with the
Yes.
previous one. There's no reason for her to be there, really, at all.
She plays no purpose. There's
She's a
also-
geologist.
There's like a horribly off-putting, out-of-pocket, like, massacre
Yeah.
towards the end of the film.
Yeah, Christopher
Which is-
Walken just mows down everyone.
Like a bunch of like innocent
Minor-
mine workers
yeah.
or something, and it's really, really gnarly.
It is.
and it makes no sense. It
It's-
doesn't fit the rest of the tone of the movie.
It's so dark from one of these early Bond movies that are way campy.
yeah,
it's-
it's horrible. It really whole movie just comes across as just being insanely poorly thought out.
It's also really boring.
Yes, I mean most of Roger Moore's movies are super boring.
Yes. Oh, and it has Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken is the main. That should have been amazing, and he is wasted in this movie.
Maybe the best actor other than Christoph Waltz, like the best just actor who ever played a Bond villain. Not saying he gave the best performance by any means, but just in terms of like the quality of actor that you got to play the villain, he's probably the second best, only to Christoph Waltz.
He won an Oscar right before this movie.
Yeah, and then he
for
did
Deer
this.
Hunter, and then he did this. I mean, I don't blame him. I would have been wanted to be in the Bond movie. That would
Yeah.
be super cool. But this is not a good one. This is Roger Moore's final movie, right? He did 7, I think, which is the most of anyone.
Yes,
And it should have been anyone else other than him that did 7.
and he was the worst.
He was the worst. But also, you'll see this theme about the final movie of these actors being the worst
yes.
or not good, and this continues throughout pretty much all of them. In that their final movie,
No, it is all of them.
yeah. Well, Daniel Craig hasn't had his final movie yet.
Right, of all the ones that have had a
Yes.
final movie, it's always the worst.
Yes. I don't think this is worth talking about. This is not one of the ones you should watch, I don't think, if you want to see it so bad it's good.
This was not. I have Diamonds Are Forever and one more that's a so bad it's good. This is not.
This is not one of them.
No, this one just to avoid it.
Number 23, View to a Kill. Not good. All right. This next one. Is this your other one?
This is my other one that's so bad it's good.
All right. Let's talk about more Roger Moore. We got Moonraker, which my parents, or our parents, showed me when I was younger. I don't know why they chose this one. This is not a good one to
Horrible
show.
one to show you.
But, so, this is Moonraker, a.k.a. James Bond in space. This one is honestly also terrible, but, but like my brother said, it kind of is so bad it's good, especially when they get to space.
It's so fun.
When they get to space...
It's so much fun. It's terrible and it's so much fun.
It is fun. This has one of the craziest villain plots of all of them. So the plot in this movie, right, is this bad guy wants to kill everyone on Earth. And before that, he takes like 40 hot people, right? 40 like 20 something hot people, shoots them off into like a space station, and he wants to just like repopulate the Earth with hot people.
Yes.
Even though he's like this 70-year-old fat dude.
Yeah, he's not hot.
He's not hot at all.
It's very creepy.
It's really weird. He just wants all the hot girls to himself. But, oh my god, this movie is also terrible.
Jaws.
Jaws is awesome.
Jaws is great.
Not as much in this movie as the other movie he was in. But yeah, having Jaws back is great. He's one of the few, like, returning sort of sub-villains.
And he turns into a comic relief in a way in this movie, which I kind of like. His whole
Yeah.
subplot with his girlfriend.
His girlfriend makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. I remember there's a cool scene in Brazil,
Yeah.
right? In Rio, like they're going along the...
Yeah. Horrible green screen.
Right,
Remember
yeah.
that scene where Jaws, like, jumps, but he's like... "Er."
Yes.
And then you see this guy who's clearly not him jump across, like, one of those, like,
It's
gondola things.
brutal.
But this movie... Okay. I guess we should talk about the Bond girl. Okay, so... Bond has this weird thing where, like, a lot of the main girls have weird names.
Yes.
for some reason, I don't know why, but there's like almost no like normal names in the Bond girls.
Very few. They all have weird names.
This girl, her name is Dr. Goodhead, which is...
It's
this might be the worst name of all of them,
it's
honestly.
So cringe, yeah.
This also has this weird like tonal shift, so sort of like where like Christopher Walken mows down a bunch of people. This has the scene where this girl gets mauled by dogs. Remember that scene? This girl who like she like works for the villain, and she like told Bond something, and like the bad guy finds out, and he makes her run into the forest, and he seeks attack dogs on her.
And it's this huge drawn out scene.
It's like it's weird. It's like sort of slow motion, and it's trying to be very serious, but it's in the movie where Bond goes to space, and there's a giant laser fight, and it does not match. It's like tonal whiplash. That scene is way too serious for this movie.
It's really drawn out, and so you expect it to be leading to some like heroic at the last second.
Bond comes in,
because you've been watching her run for her life for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then she just gets eaten by dogs. And
yes.
You're like, that was... And then it just cuts to a completely different sequence.
Yeah.
You're like, that was
disgusting. Like, what was the point of that? That was horrible.
No sense. Yeah.
That was terrible. I guess we should talk about the space fight, because there's a scene... So, like, most of the Bond movies end with, just like Bond versus the bad guy, but there are some movies that have, like, big battles at the end. And this is one of those. This one might be the most entertainingly horrible, because it's all the villains in space with their ridiculous hats.
Yes.
Versus like NASA or something. They're literally on these little chairs flying around, and they're just shooting lasers at each other out in space. It's like pew 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 pew. It seems like they're walking down this corridor, and they're clearly doing the worst fake low gravity walks. They're like, whoa. It's ridiculous. We've given this movie more time than it's worth. This movie is terrible. Only watch it if you want to see Bond at the absolute campiest worst.
Yeah.
Is Moonraker. Okay, next up we have more Roger Moore. What a surprise! Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is Octopussy, a movie that I'm convinced nobody would know existed if it wasn't for the name.
Correct.
The name is the only reason anyone even remembers this movie,
yes.
And that's not even many people. So this is Roger Moore's 6th movie. So that's 3 Roger Moore movies in a row. Clearly we love this guy.
Bottom 4.
Clearly we love this guy. Oh, this movie... I think the best thing about this movie is that it's set in India, which is kind of a cool setting.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is also extremely boring.
Yes.
Like, I don't remember a lot of the plot at all.
No, it's
boring.
It's
really bad. Although it does have an amazing villain.
Yes.
Amazing villain.
But he's not in a good way.
No. He's this Russian general. And the overacting is spectacular.
Heinous.
This might be the best overacting, best worst overacting in the whole thing. So he has this scene where he's sitting with these other generals, and they're at this table. And he gives this speech about how the USSR is being too cowardly or something, and he wants to just
crush the West.
And he has this line. He's like, "We are being too timid," and the way he says it's probably the best delivery in the whole in almost all the movies. Dude, he should have been in the movie more. He's the most entertaining part.
He was. Yes.
He's really only in that scene, and then he doesn't come back until
the very end.
Later in the movie. This is one of the top 2 probably dumbest scenes in all the movies. Let's talk about the monkey suit.
Yeah, monkey suit is... I don't want to talk about the monkey suit.
We're going to talk about the monkey suit. So the final third of this movie is spent on the circus train, and they spend way too much time on the circus train. And Bond, snuck on because, they're carrying, a bomb that they're going to, use to blow up, an army base, I think? A U.S. Army base?
Yeah.
Right? So, there's, cannons, and, there's, all the circus troupe. And he's in this one room that has a monkey suit, just, on, a mannequin, right? And as he's in this room, some other people come into the room, bad people. So he dresses up in the monkey suit, and he stands there like this, in the monkey suit, right? The bad guys are talking about, what time they're going to, arrive, I think?
Yes.
And he's like, okay, we're going to get there.
No, it's what time the bomb's going to go off.
Okay. And they say it's like 11:30 or something. Yeah. And while they're in the room, Bond, while he's in the monkey suit, he looks at his watch, and then he's like, he literally looks at his watch while they're in the room. Ugh.
It's so cringy.
It's
just
so
the
cringy.
whole movie is just cringe after cringe after cringe.
It is. I don't know about you, but I got a little confused with like who knew what, right? Because like the girl in this poster, that's Octopussy, right? Who's not? She's not really a bad guy. She's being played basically by the real bad guys, right? She's this like super rich lady, and I don't know. She's like transporting diamonds, but it's actually a bomb or something. But at some points, it's kind of hard to figure out who knew what. Like I was a little confused.
Right.
I'm like, wait. Does she know about this or does she not know?
And I didn't care enough to find out.
No, you don't care at all.
It sucks.
Yes. Although you do can see Roger Moore in full clown makeup disarming a bomb, which is interesting. But it's terrible. Don't watch this one. It's not so bad it's good. It's so bad it's boring. Just don't watch it. Okay. That's number 21. Okay, number 20.
New Bond.
Yeah, we're going to leave Roger Moore alone for a bit. He'll be back soon. But we're going to leave him alone for a bit. And let's talk about Pierce Brosnan. So this is Die Another Day. This is Pierce Brosnan's final movie. Again, the final movie being their worst.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you think about Pierce?
I like Pierce. Pierce, it's hard to say because his movies are not as good as Daniel Craig's movies.
No.
But they are neck and neck for me in terms of second best Bond.
Yes.
Pierce is, I think, the most handsome, and his accent is also,
it's great.
I think, the best.
Yeah.
The way he talks is the most just James Bond.
It's just cool.
It just oozes cool.
It's just
class.
Cool. He's just super cool.
Yeah. So I don't hate him by any means as Bond.
He's got shafted really hard.
This movie freaking blows, and it comes after... Is this...
No, the one before
one of his movies is really good.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Goldeneye.
And I can't believe that he was, like, a part of Goldeneye and then, like, 2 movies later was reading the script and was like... He must have just been like...
Or 3 movies later, because this is his 4th.
Yeah,
yes.
He must have just been like...
Really?
What, guy? What happened? Because his first one's great. But anyways, this movie...
His movies really start really good and then just freaking downhill, dude.
Yeah,
worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, so... What do we talk about this movie? First of all, I love the theme song.
You do like the theme song.
It's Madonna, and...
I think it's okay. It's not my favorite.
I think it's super catchy. And honestly, the North Korea part before the song is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's exciting, you know, he's like sneaking in in North Korea. There's this cool like hovercraft chase scene, which is pretty cool. But then after...
He gets captured.
He gets captured, and actually during the theme song, there's like... story happening.
Yeah,
like he's getting tortured.
It's maybe the only movie where there's some sort of plot progressing during the opening theme song.
Yeah, it is. And then after the theme song, it just gets worse and,
then
and
it just
worse.
Gets terrible.
And worse.
It just goes downhill from there.
So as you can see, Halle Berry's in this movie, and she's not that great.
No.
She's much better in other stuff. And she's the main Bond girl, and she's not that great, really. But this movie also has Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund Pike,
so much better.
Yeah, her character's really good.
Her character's better. Her and Pierce have really good chemistry. Actually,
her character may be the best part of the movie. And
yeah,
it's not even that huge of a character.
No, she also got shafted by being in this movie. She could have been in any of the other ones because she's great. This came out right after Matrix, and I think that was bad. Because there's weird slow-mo for no reason.
Bad slow-mo, just horrible. Compared to Matrix, the effects are just terrible.
The effects are bad. The action is bad. Yeah. The sets. Most of the movie takes place in this ice palace. It's like the corniest thing ever.
It's really corny.
It looks like Mr. Freeze's from Batman and Robin, which is not a good thing.
But like made more cheaply.
It looks like plastic.
Yeah, it looks.
It does not look like ice.
Plastic,
it's
and
plastic.
It looks like plastic.
It's terrible. It does have probably the stupidest moment in all of Bond.
The wave?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. And I watched this movie on a plane probably 15 years ago. I remembered literally nothing about this movie except the theme song and this wave scene. So, in this movie, it takes place in, I think, like Iceland or Greenland.
Yeah, Greenland.
And the bad guy has this big satellite that shoots like a laser down to melt ice. I think he's gonna blow up the mines between North and South Korea. It's dumb. But Pierce gets like chased off this cliff. He's in this like rocket powered sled thing, right? And like he's hanging off the cliff, and the bad guy's melting the ice above him, and he takes this like piece of metal off of the sled, and he takes the parachute, right? And so the guy melts. He melts the thing, and then Bond is literally surfing on this giant wave on the piece of metal with a parachute out like this, and it is okay. So this is one of the movies that we watched together. We did watch some together, and his face during this scene, I think you were just in shock.
I just couldn't believe that how many people it had to have gone through to get made. It's
so bad.
It really is. I was like almost offended.
Yes.
By how ridiculous it was in a bad way.
I think you said, I can't believe this movie and Citizen Kane are the same like art form or something. Yes. You said.
Something like that. It really is.
It is that bad.
It's like offensive.
It is. I guess we should first mention that there's also a common theme in these movies where stuff beeps that should not beep if you're a spy. So they'll like plant a bomb in a corner, and it goes beep, 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 beep. Every movie has to have some beep. We joke about how they have this like beep guy who's like unionized and they can't fire him, so they have to have some kind of beeps. But this is the worst beep. So he has a sniper scope. As he's looking on the scope is going beep, 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 beep for no reason. Why would a sniper scope beep? There's absolutely no reason.
No.
So we won't mention the beep boops again, but this is the worst beeps of all of them. In most of the movies, like James Bond his aim is like superhuman, right? He can snipe people, everyone's missing him with shots. There's the scene where he's literally 6 feet in front of the bad guy. The bad guy's running straight forward out the window. He shoots, he misses him like 3 times, right? Which alone is ridiculous because he's James Bond.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, he's in a car doing like a Tokyo drift on ice. And there's a chandelier hanging above the bad guy. He literally, while he's drifting, he shoots twice, and he freaking nails the chandelier chain, and it drops on the bad guy and kills him. In the same movie, he cannot hit this guy 6 feet in front of him while he's standing still. He can nail this chain. It's stupid.
Terrible.
Is this so bad it's good?
No, this one's just bad. If you want to Google the wave scene, like Die Another Day tidal wave, or I don't know what you call it, then you can see the moment of just pure horror that I'm talking about. But that's pretty much the only scene.
And just listen to the song, because I think the song's pretty good. All right, next movie. Back to Sean Connery with You Only Live Twice. So this movie is...
racist.
Yes, it is. This is Sean Connery's 5th movie. It takes place in Japan, which, again, a cool setting.
Yeah, the setting's cool.
So, like, in these movies, they always film on location, which is one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Even in the bad movies, they film in really cool places that you don't see a lot. But this movie takes place in Japan, and it actually starts off not too bad. It's not too racist.
No,
at first.
It's sexist
the
whole way through, because pretty much all of Sean Connery's movies have at least 1 or 2 really sexist or misogynist lines.
And this one has the worst, I think, of all of them.
Yeah, maybe.
And the first scene is they go to a sumo match, which is really cool. How many times do you see a sumo match in a movie?
With a huge audience.
Yeah, like,
it's really,
I'm sure they went to a real one and just filmed it, because it was awesome.
It was awesome. It really was.
But then later on, he's with, like, the what is it? It's like the Japanese, like, intelligence guy.
Yeah.
And, like, they're at, like, his house or something. And they have, like, all these women. And he's like, in Japan, women are subservient to men. And then Sean Connery goes, like...
I should take a vacation
take a vacation. Or, like, I should retire here or something.
Something like that.
It's the most blatant sexist comment in the entire movie.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And then it also has the most racist scene in the whole movie.
By far.
So the whole thing is, like, James Bond has to sneak onto this island because there's, like, bad guys there, right? So, like, the Japanese guy's like, we will make you Japanese. And at first I'm like, God, I hope they mean just, like, embrace the culture and learn how to act in a Japanese way. But no, they literally put stuff on him to make him look Japanese. So they like they put like stuff on his eyes and his nose,
and his hair.
His hair. I think they make him like a little darker too, or something.
It's horrible.
It's bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad. They make him marry this girl, who of course falls for him because every girl in these movies falls for him, regardless of if they want to or not.
They never put any effort in actually just writing chemistry between them.
A couple times, which I'll talk about, but most of the time, no.
Maybe
especially in these
earlier ones, they never ever
no
do.
Reason.
It's just like there's no actual reason that anyone would fall for him, and then all of a sudden they just fall for him.
Sometimes they actively don't like him.
Yeah, and
like the first girl in this movie.
Yeah,
she actively does not like him. She's like a Japanese agent. She actively does not like him, and then when he gets to the spa, she like makes out with him, and then they get together out of nowhere.
Yeah, just it's like sometimes it really feels like a 13-year-old boy writes the scripts where it's like, and then they make out, where it's like, it makes no sense. It doesn't drive the plot forward at all.
And he's always has to be with at least like 2 girls in a movie. There's some where he's up to 4.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. What else about this movie? I guess the final scene where it's ninjas versus soldiers is kind of
the final epic battle is a little Moonraker-esque.
Yes. It's not quite as silly because they're not in space, but it's still ninjas versus like agents, like secret agents, right?
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah, don't watch it. It's racist. It's sexist. It's not that entertaining. Just don't do it. All right, back to Pierce. The World Is Not Enough.
Back to Pierce.
So this is Pierce Brosnan's third one. So this is the run right before Die Another Day, and this one is almost as bad. This is the one with Denise Richards playing a nuclear physicist.
Yeah.
And like you see what she's wearing in the poster, this tiny tank top, tiny shorts. She just wears that
the whole
on the
movie.
Job. It's like she just walked off of Starship Troopers.
Her introduction scene. She's surrounded by other nuclear physicists all wearing normal nuclear physicist clothing with the white coat and everything.
Yes.
And she's dressed in that. It makes no sense.
Her name is Christmas Jones.
Yes.
The only reason her name is Christmas Jones is so that at the end of the movie, Bond can say, I thought Christmas only came once a year.
Yes.
It's literally the only reason she's called that.
Yep.
I think she has negative chemistry with Pierce. It's that bad.
It's horrible.
It might be the worst chemistry of all of them.
It may be, yeah.
I kind of like the female villain. She's kind of fun.
Yeah, she is.
Because, there's kind of a twist where, like, it starts off like he's protecting her, but it turns out she's the villain. And she gives the best performance of the movie, I think, by far. Mm-hmm. She's fun. But bad movie. Pierce, they did him dirty, man.
Yes.
2 horrible movies.
2 bad ones, for sure.
For a great Bond who should have had better.
Yes.
So The World Is Not Enough.
I'm like pretty confident that if The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day were both good movies, I think that Pierce Brosnan could very well be considered the best Bond.
Yes.
But these 2 movies blow.
They blow. And it's so bad because it's not his fault.
And his third one isn't that great. It's okay.
I mean, his second one. This is the third one.
Yeah.
His second one. Yeah.
His first one's the only one that's, like, good.
Yes. But it's pretty good. We'll talk about it later. It's pretty darn good. But okay, yes, World Is Not Enough. Next, back to Roger Moore. Man with the Golden Gun. This one might be a bit of a hot take, maybe, because I see like a lot of people rate this one a lot higher. It does have Christopher Lee, who's always fantastic. He's the main villain. He's great. He's the best part by far.
Yeah, I just remember thinking this is just one of the ones where all these middle ones we're going to go through, a lot of them are just boring.
Yeah.
They're just boring.
Yeah, like, let's...
Or, like, I'll remember the villain.
Yeah.
And maybe the end, and then the whole second act of all these movies, I don't remember at all.
It's just boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another case of the Bond girl. Her name is Goodnight.
Goodnight, yeah, that's right.
She's also kind of worthless.
Yes.
Especially because she's supposed to be an MI6, like, Chinese liaison or something.
Yes.
So she's supposed to know China inside and out, and she's freaking worthless, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And I don't know if
she gets captured.
Yeah.
When Bond frees her, she turns on a laser with her butt that almost kills him. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
There's this small person who's just treated horribly, and he's the butt of jokes. The final shot of the movie is him in a cage on top of a boat, and it just zooms out, Remember that?
Yeah.
That's the very final scene of the movie. It's so bad, dude. This is another case of somebody deserving better. Just like Rosamund Pike. Christopher Lee deserved a better movie.
Yes, he did.
He's perfect.
As a Bond villain, yeah.
Yes. I almost wish they didn't kill him and they just let him come back in a better movie later. Because he should have been better. Although this one does have the scene where Bond is captured. There are so many times in these movies where Bond is captured and they should just shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
So many scenes. In this scene,
almost every movie.
Yes.
Not every Bond movie, but I would say in maybe 2/3,
especially the earlier ones
of Bond movies, there's a moment in I would say 2/3 of Bond movies where when you're watching and you go, okay, now right here, it makes literally zero sense for the bad guy to not just shoot him in the head.
Yes.
Like, it makes no sense.
There's a scene where they have him, like, unconscious, and they have, like, a spear, and they're about to stab him, and they stop the guy from stabbing him, and they put him, for some godforsaken reason, in a martial arts school.
Yes.
And make him fight black belts.
Like, they think that they're gonna kill him?
I don't know what they think.
And he escapes, of course.
There might have been a reason. Probably not. It's probably just dumb. But for one, it's funny to see Roger Moore beat a
bunch of black belts.
Yes. In the most graceless way. A lot of the hand-to-hand fighting in the early ones is not good.
Terrible.
Even Sean Connery, but Roger Moore is the worst at it by
far.
Yeah. You never believe he can beat anyone in a fight ever.
I would say literally the entire 60s, 70s, and 80s Bond movies, none of them have good fight scenes.
No. When you get to Pierce, then...
Once you get to Pierce, that's the first time you ever see a quality fight scene.
Yes. Like, the overall action gets better with the later ones, but the hand-to-hand fighting is terrible.
And I'm watching other action movies in the 80s, and there's really good...
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of really good action movies in the 80s that had good fight scenes.
Yes.
The Bonds just could not get it together.
Yeah, just look at, like, Jackie Chan movies. Yeah. Or even like, Die Hard has, like, better fight scenes.
Way better.
Way better. Okay. That's The Man with the Golden Gun. Don't watch this one either. It's not great. Okay. This next one. This might be the hottest take.
This is the hottest take that we have.
This is From Russia with Love. So many people think this is one of the absolute best. This is top 5 on, like, almost every list. And, dude, I was super pumped because I'm like, okay, this one is so famous.
Yeah.
I hear about this one all the time, and it really didn't do much for me at all.
Nope, me either.
It was really boring. Sean Connery was great. This is Sean Connery's second movie, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So this is early on, right? So this is the second movie, and I think it's mainly the whole middle scene where, like, he goes to, like, a village... And they're there for way too long.
Yeah, there's a lot of silence.
There's a lot of silence.
There's like a lot of silence in this movie. Like long, drawn-out scenes where you're watching like a cat and mouse chase where they're walking in public so they don't want to run or cause attention.
Which can be good.
Or like drawn-out scenes where like he's stalking someone through a church or something.
Yeah.
And like there's just a lot of silence in this movie. And I think that it was just boring.
And you can do silence in a good tense way.
Yeah.
Many movies do.
Mm-hmm.
These do not do that.
Yeah, I liked the plot.
Yeah, the plot was cool.
The plot itself is good. Mm-hmm. And the Cold War
stuff
is really good, I thought. But that was about it.
Yes.
Like, I thought the plot was good. But that's because, isn't this the most famous book?
Yes, it is the most famous book.
So it's like, of course it had a good plot. Because it's based off the most famous book.
Mm-hmm. This might be one of the more interesting plots of the Bond girl是 basically she gets an assignment from the government because like she works for like Russian government or something.
Yes.
And she gets an assignment which is actually by Spectre who are the bad guys.
Yes.
So they make her into like a double agent, but she doesn't know she's the double agent. So that's interesting. I like that part.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But really, the plot is good, but it's just not that interesting.
No.
Unfortunately.
Nope.
I'm sure the book is great.
And
I kind of want to read the book.
A lot of people disagree with us.
Yes.
So,
like, you know, many hardcore Bond fans put this one very highly.
Yeah, I put this. I put my ranking on Reddit once, and I got a lot of hate.
You got a lot of hate for this one
for putting this one so far low on my list.
But that's this one for you. So, From Russia with Love, we didn't like it as much as a lot of people, but there you go.
All right, that's
All right.
it for the...
That's all of the movies that I think are bad / is not that interesting. So, this next set are movies that I think are good. I would recommend these ones if you've seen the good ones and you kind of want to get into more of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's talk about these. So, I don't think you like this one as much as I do.
I don't.
This is Live and Let Die.
I would put this one in the bad.
Yeah.
But you like this one. Okay.
Amazing theme song.
Best.
It's written by Paul McCartney.
Yes.
It is one of the best theme songs. This is Roger Moore's first movie. His first Bond movie. I think it has a really cool setting. It takes place in New Orleans. There's a lot of like black magic voodoo stuff in it, which is pretty cool. It actually gets almost supernatural, which is kind of weird in some spots. Like there's this fortune teller girl who seems to actually be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And then there's this like voodoo guy who shows up throughout the movie, and then he dies, but he shows up again at the end.
Right.
So I don't know what that means. It also has this really cool boat chase, which unfortunately also has the most horrible, racist hillbilly cop.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a caricature of an American.
Yes, it is.
What his function is, right?
Yeah.
Ostensibly, in this film. And it's not painting a very pretty picture.
No. His first scene, he pulls over like a black guy and he's like, "Don't backtalk me, boy."
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's like right off the bat, you're like, oh, God.
And they bring him back in another movie.
They do. They bring him back into another movie. So, I mean, they audiences in England must have responded. They must have thought he was hilarious.
They must have thought, oh, look at that stupid American racist cop.
Yeah.
It was not great. It has the first African American Bond girl, which is cool.
Yeah, it does.
Although she dies pretty early, and her first scene, she's like, "I've heard about you, Bond. I'm not gonna don't even get any funny ideas." And then 10 minutes later, they're already hooking up.
Yes.
She sees a snake, and it scares her, and she's like, "No, Bond, stay with me." And then that's it.
And then
it's like, well, that was fast. Mm-hmm. That was fast. God, the main bad guy is really boring.
I don't even remember who it is.
This drug dealer guy.
Oh yeah, the plot just wasn't that good.
No,
the plot wasn't that good. The setting was cool, and the boat chase was famous, and the song is good, but the actual movie itself is not very exciting.
I guess I thought sort of the setting kind of carried it a lot more.
Yes, it did.
Because it's very unique for a Bond movie. Mm-hmm. And this is before... I think this is one of Roger Moore's better performances, probably because it's his first one. He's a lot younger. I mean, he's already 40 or something, so he's too old. But I think this is one of his better performances. But okay, so that's number 15, Live and Let Die. All right, we got a new Bond coming up here.
Oh, yes.
License to Kill. This is Timothy Dalton. I think a lot of people don't even know who he is. He only did 2 movies, and I had barely heard anything about him. So what do you think about him?
I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
I thought he was fine. This is definitely his worst of his 2 movies. The other one is better, for sure.
Yes.
He was just a little goofy.
Yeah, he was the least suave.
He was a good actor.
Yeah, he's a fine actor.
He was a good actor, but he just didn't I don't know.
He never felt like Bond. He was never cool,
goofy.
Suave. He was goofy.
Kind of like if Andy Samberg tried to play Bond. No matter how good of an actor he is, he's goofy at Andy Samberg.
You can't see him as Bond.
That's kind of what it was like. He was just sort of goofy.
I believe what happened is they actually wanted to get Pierce instead, but Pierce is doing a show at the time. So they got Timothy Dalton. I would have loved to see Pierce do these 2 movies instead.
Yeah, me too.
I think that would have been great.
Me too.
But okay, so what do you talk about with License to Kill? I think the story's kind of cool. So in this story, Bond actually kind of goes rogue because one of his friends gets horribly injured.
Yes.
And he wants to track down the guy, but MI6 isn't letting him.
I think he's just too emotionally attached
to the
true. Assignment.
Yeah.
And they want to reassign him, and he says, hell no.
But he goes rogue.
Yeah.
Which is really the only time that happens, I think.
Yes.
So that's a cool part of the movie. The action is a lot better than the earlier ones. Not the hand-to-hand action, but the actual action. It does have some silly stuff. There's a scene where he's in an 18-wheeler truck, and this guy shoots a rocket at him, and he goes onto the side and dodges the rocket. Remember that?
God, that's horrible. Yeah.
That was kind of ridiculous.
Was Roger Moore level bad.
And then somehow he also makes the 18-wheeler do a wheelie and go through fire.
Yeah, that's a dumb scene.
Somehow.
And that's a climax, too.
Yes, it is the climax.
The climax is bad.
It's not a great climax. This also has one of the worst cases of the Bond girl hating him.
Yes.
In the first scene, she meets him, and then falling in love with him, immediately.
Immediately after. They don't even do, the believable character arc.
No.
Where, they hate each other at first, And then they slowly grow on each other, and then by the end, they're like...
It's literally one scene they hate, next scene...
And the next scene, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're making out, and you're like, what?
This also kind of has two Bond girls. The main Bond girl, she's like a... I think she's an American. She's like in the army or something. She's like a pilot. And then there's also the girlfriend of the drug dealer, who's the main bad guy that's on the poster there. And, like, they both like him. The end of the movie, he kisses the drug dealer girl, right? And then the American girl sees her and gets mad, and she, like, walks away. Remember this scene?
Yeah.
And then he follows her. He jumps into the pool. Plus, the drug dealer girl tells him she loves him. She just straight up says, I love you, I think, right? He follows the American girl. He jumps into the pool, or, like, he pulls her in or something. And, like, they're laughing, and then they kiss. And then the drug dealer girl sees this, and she just kind of smiles and shakes her head. And she smiles, shakes her head, and, like, turns away. You're like... You literally just said you love him, and now you're like, oh, that Bond, he's kissing another girl.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Benicio del Toro's in this movie.
Yeah,
as a very minor, because he's not well known yet.
I think this pre-Usual Suspects too.
Yeah, this is '89.
But
so
yeah, whatever.
It's okay. The action is way better than the earlier ones, but it's still not a great movie. But really cool plot. All right, that's License to Kill. Next. Back to Roger Moore for Your Eyes Only. This is one of his better ones by far.
Yeah.
I think. This one has one of the more competent Bond girls, right? Because her parents get mowed down. She's a diver, right? And her parents get killed. Mm-hmm. And she goes on her own to get revenge. So like, that's her with the crossbow. And then, like, she joins Bond later. And, you know, she can fight. She has an actual reason to be there, which is always good, right? Because a lot of them have no reason to actually, like, go along with it. But she actually has a reason to, because it's personal for her, right? There's a lot of cool scenes. Like, the climax is, like, on top of this giant mountain in this, like, lodge.
Yeah.
That's a cool scene. Mm-hmm. That's a cool setting. It also has Bond being very condescending.
And stupid.
Yeah. So there's a scene where they're diving, because they have to get some, like, decoder from, like, a sunken ship, right? And first of all, she's an expert diver, right? Like, her parents are divers, she's a diver. And while they're down, like, in the submarine, like, Bond is like, okay, while we're out there, don't talk unless you have to, because you got to save oxygen. It's like, Bond, she's a better diver than you are. She clearly knows this.
Right.
Not only that, but once they're out in their suits, he's reading the manual of, like, how to, like take it, and he's literally reading out loud.
Reading it out loud.
Okay, step 1, cut this wire. Step 2.
He's throwing out, like, quirky little one-liners. Yes. It's
literally, like, 5 minutes after he says, don't talk and waste any oxygen.
She's not saying a word.
What he means is women shouldn't talk. They're going to waste oxygen.
She's not saying a word, and he's like, blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. Step 1, step 2. Hey, look at this. Hey, hoo-ha. It's so dumb. It's really dumb. I guess worthy of note is this is the only movie where he actually turns down a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Granted, she's 19 and he's like 55 at this point, so that would be bad. But even so, I guess... Yay Bond for turning down one girl in every movie in the entire series.
The entire 24 movie series.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh yeah, he also fights hockey players. Remember that scene?
I hate that scene.
That scene is terrible. We're making this sound worse than it is.
No, we're not.
It's not that bad. It's okay. Maybe this one's better for me than you. But I don't actually think it's that bad. I think it has some good stuff in it.
These movies have their moments, but.
Maybe it's just the fact that it's not as bad as other Roger Moores was making me think, oh my god, it's amazing, because it's not a horrible movie. Mm-hmm. But I would recommend this one, I think. There's like 2 Roger Moore movies I'd recommend. This is one of them, and the other one's coming a lot later. But that's number 13, For Your Eyes Only. All right, let's talk about Daniel Craig. I'm sure most people here, most young people, have seen these over all the other ones.
Yeah. Maybe not this one.
Maybe not this one, but he's the best action-wise by a large margin.
Close, yes.
It also helps that the movies are just better action movies in general. Because the first of the Daniel Craig ones came out after Bourne, and I think it was clear they saw Bourne and like, oh crap, we need to do that. That was awesome.
Like, that set the bar.
Yeah. So this is Quantum of Solace. I think a lot of people think this movie is horrible, awful, it should be lower. I don't think it's that bad. I think the worst part is the editing.
Yeah, the editing is terrible.
Especially in the first car chase scene and the first foot chase scene. It's, like, disorienting.
Like Taken 3 bad.
Yes. You can't tell what's happening. No shot lasts for more than, like, a second and a half, I think, at most. It's terrible.
It's jarring.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Confusing.
It gets better after that. Mm-hmm. And this is another one where the Bond girl actually has a reason to be there. Like,
yes,
she has a backstory with the villain that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know why she's there. She's, like, it's personal for her.
She's useful.
Mm-hmm. And I think she's a decent actor, too. I don't think she's bad.
No, she's good.
And Daniel Craig is good, like always. I think he's good in all of them.
Yes, he is.
I think some people might think this one is too much action. Like, it's too much of a dumb action movie.
Honestly, the guy who played the main villain was pretty weak.
He was weak.
He's kind of boring.
He was weak, and... yeah, both the actor and the actual character were not
I never
that
actually really felt like scared or threatened
by
him.
It's also worth mentioning that this is the only Bond movie that is a direct sequel to another Bond movie. Right? Like, they continue right after Casino ended.
Yeah, that's
which is
true.
the only time that happens, which is kind of cool. I almost wish they did that more.
Me too.
Like, there are times, where, like, something will happen that they mention later movies, especially with one we'll talk about later. But most of them are, like, completely separate.
Right.
But this is one of the ones that comes right after, which is kind of cool. But it does have good action. There's a cool boat chase scene, which I think is pretty well done. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the weakest of the Daniel Craigs by a decent amount, I think.
I think some people would disagree with you.
Yeah, you think Spectre?
I think a lot of people would say Spectre's worse.
Really? We might get hate like, oh, you only like these ones because they're the most recent ones,
Recency bias.
Yes.
And it also, like, the quality of the acting, it gets better over time in general.
The action.
The quality of the action gets better over time in general. The quality of the directing, the cinematography can get better over time in general. So, like, it's not like recency bias happens for no reason. Like, there are actual aspects of the movie that I think are just inherently better.
It's also kind of amazing how these movies have been made for like 50 years, and some of the best ones are the most recent ones. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Especially considering some of these earlier ones, like, I don't know how they made another one after Diamonds Are Forever or after View to a Kill.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they kept going. All right, next. Let's go back to Pierce for his second movie, Tomorrow Never Dies, which I think is way better than the later two.
Yes.
Mostly because I think the villain, played by Jonathan Pryce, he's like a media mogul who causes disasters so he can report on it and stuff, which I think is interesting, and it's kind of relevant today even. So I think that's great. The main girl, she's a Chinese super spy. Or Chinese sexy super spy, if you go by what the Netflix description said.
Yes.
But she's great. She's competent. She has a reason to be there because it's also her mission.
No one really ever talks about this one.
No, I barely hear about this one at all. Which is kind of sad because it's way better than his later two movies. It also is kind of silly with like the helicopter trying to like slice him with the propeller.
Yeah.
That's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Oh god.
There's like a whole car sequence in a parking garage.
Is that this one?
Over the top, yeah.
With the
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's in this like supercar, right? And he's in this parking garage, and there's just like steel wire in front of him. For some reason, the bad guys put it up to stop him, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And he hits this button on his remote, and this tiny little saw like pops out of the front of the car.
Like an inch long.
It's like this big. It pops out and it goes, and it cuts through the wire. Why is that on his thing? What? That could literally have one use, and it just so happens that that's the use for it.
The exact right height.
The exact right height.
It's really weird.
It's really weird. It's by far the dumbest part of this movie.
Yeah, it would never have any function on a car. It doesn't make any sense as a gadget.
Pierce is great, like he always is, and really, I think the villain carries this one. I think it's worth watching because he's pretty enjoyable. So that's number 11, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Top 10.
So these are the ones that I do recommend you guys watch. I think these are all actually pretty good movies. Yes, some of them are campy, but even the campy ones are fun in a entertaining way, not in a so bad it's good way. So let's start with number 10, Thunderball. This is also one that I heard like nothing about before.
Yeah, same.
It really surprised me. So this is Sean Connery. This is his fourth movie. I literally didn't even know this existed, I don't think, until we watched them.
Same.
And it's pretty good. What do you like about this one?
The Bahamas.
Yes.
I like all the underwater stuff.
Yes.
I know you think they went a little too long.
I do think they went a little too long, but...
I love the setting. I think the setting's great. The Bond girl's really cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
Just is really fun.
It must have been quite the feat to shoot all that underwater stuff back in '65.
Yeah.
Because...
It's really impressive how good it still looks for being that old.
Yeah. And this is another one where there's a giant fight at the end. And this is people underwater shooting harpoons at each other, and they're cutting each other's air, and they're stabbing each other. The movie itself was pretty long. And I thought the underwater stuff went on a little too long, but I really like appreciated just how hard it must have been to film.
The villain has a pool of sharks.
Yes, the classic pool of sharks.
Yeah, which is where that whole thing came from.
Yes.
That came from that whole cliche came from this movie.
And the first scene is amazing because he gets away on a jetpack.
Oh, yeah, and there's a jetpack.
He goes to the roof, he puts on this, like, dorky helmet, and he just goes, woohoo! It probably would have been useful in some other situations.
It really never came back.
but the fact that he has it is cool. I think you guys should watch it if you want to see a good Sean Connery classic movie that you don't hear much about. So that's number 10. Thunderball. All right, number 9. Spectre. You might have this one lower than I do.
I definitely have this one lower.
Yeah.
I have this one a few lower.
So this is the most recent Bond movie. This is Daniel Craig's 4th movie. It's not the worst like all the other final ones was, but I hope that his actual final one isn't terrible.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I'm holding out hope for No Time to Die. A lot of people don't like this one, like, at all. The opening scene is amazing. With, like...
In Mexico City?
Yes.
Yeah, the opening scene is incredible.
That's
the best part.
It has
of
a
the
great
for sure.
single shot where it goes through the parade and it follows Bond and he goes up to a hotel.
And
he goes out on the ledge.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. There's a really cool helicopter fight scene, which is pretty amazing. I like the Bond girl. I think she's a good actor.
She is.
Christoph Waltz. What a fantastic choice.
Yeah.
For a villain. He's not the best.
Didn't really do anything with it.
No. He plays like Blofeld, who's a classic villain.
Yeah.
And it's... Yeah.
It just doesn't really have any heart. No personality to it. It's just so bleh.
Maybe I thought it was carried... Because Andrew Scott's in it, too. And he's pretty fun.
He's good.
It has good action, I think.
Yeah, it does.
I liked it. It's definitely more of an action movie than a spy movie, I think, like a lot of Daniel Craig's later ones. I'm sure there's a lot of Bond, like, purists who don't like the Daniel Craig ones at all because, you know, like, they're too action-y or whatever.
Right.
Whatever. I like the action stuff. But since most of you guys have seen this one, I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's Spectre. So number 8, by far, Roger Moore's best, I think. By far.
Not even close.
By far. The Spy Who Loved Me.
I would say that's his only good movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably. Yeah. One of the reasons is I think the dialogue is actually
way
great.
Better than normal. It's got campy elements.
It does. Yes, of course.
If there's, you know, like every 70s action movie
yes.
had,
yes.
There's campy elements, but yeah, no, this one is really good.
They introduced Jaws in the movie. He's great. They go to Egypt, which is a really cool setting and a scene. The introduction of the Bond girl is great. Like, she's in bed with the guy, and then, like, his telegram comes through for Agent X, right? You think it's the guy, and it turns out she's Agent X, right? And then Bond kills her boyfriend in a ski chase, of course, because what's Bond without a ski chase? She doesn't know he killed her boyfriend, and he doesn't know that that's her boyfriend until later. So there's this really interesting of, like, when is she going to find out? What's she going to do? Which I think is super cool. That's a really cool, like, dynamic.
Yeah, because they're working together the whole time and, like, sort of, like, vibing with each other.
Even after she finds out, she has to work with them because it's her mission.
Right.
So she's like, after this mission, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Because you killed my boyfriend. And, of course, she ends up falling for him because it's Bond. But it's done better than a lot of the other ones because it's not an instant switch.
Right.
Right? And he goes back to save her when he doesn't have to, right? Like, she's trapped in this, like, underwater layer, which is a pretty cool layer. He goes to save her, and, that changes her mind. This also has the submarine car, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool car. I wish they would have brought it back, for sure. But really cool scene. Also, I'm sure for the time it was mind-blowing to see something like that. It looked like they actually had a car underwater.
They did, yeah.
So that's impressive.
Yeah, they did it somehow.
Roger Moore's only good movie, but it's a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, it is.
So, Spy Who Loved Me, number 8. All right, number 7, the original, the first Bond movie
ever.
I'll let you talk about this one because I know this is your first or second favorite.
I like this one more, yeah. I'm higher than 7.
Yeah.
This one's just a classic, man.
It is.
It really, really is a classic. It's the one that introduced us to the series and
Sean
to
Connery.
Sean Connery and to probably the best theme song in any movie ever.
Yeah. We got to talk about this. The Bond theme is so good. Every time they played it, I got hype. In every movie, it's a classic. It might be like one of my all-time favorite like movie themes.
Yeah.
It's the classic Bond theme. You don't have to change it at all. Some movies did, and it was worse.
Yeah.
Just keep it classic. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I love this movie. Yeah. I think that a lot of the campiness that I don't like in a lot of the earlier ones, for some reason, it doesn't bother me as much. in this movie because it was made in freaking the early 60s and it's the first one ever.
It's charming.
It's very charming.
It's charming. The villain, Dr. No, he's pretty cool.
He's cool. He's classic.
Yeah, he should have been in it more. Like, he doesn't really show up until sort of the end.
Yeah, I could definitely see them somewhere down the line doing a Dr. No
remake.
Like, sort of how they did a Blofeld. Have Dr. No be a bad guy.
I'm surprised they haven't already.
Yeah, me too.
Because like
he's a good bad guy.
Yeah, he's a good bad guy. Of course, they have a white lady playing an Asian lady, which is not great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah, with Dr. No, I think they do that too. He's supposed to be half Asian, half German.
And he's just a white dude.
He's just a white guy.
I think they kind of yellow his skin a bit too, which is kind of bad. It's also one of the movies where Bond is the most vulnerable. Like, he gets beat up in this movie, which you don't see that much. You know, he's like bruised, he's beaten. He has to like crawl around in these vents. He's getting like hit by waves and he gets beat up. He gets beat up. Also, this dude gets lit on fire with a flamethrower from a tank, which comes out of nowhere. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Bond girl was a very good actress, unfortunately.
No. Cool character, though.
Yeah. And her name is...
local.
Yeah, she's a local. She's just looking for shells. That's all she wants.
Yeah.
She's getting shells so she can sell them.
And she thinks her dad may have been,
Oh, yeah, killed there?
Killed on his land.
Mm-hmm. But it makes sense that she's, like, pulled into it because she can't leave.
Right.
At the time. It's like some Bond movies... The Bond girl will follow him like to the other side of the world for no reason. But in this movie, like it all takes place.
She's stuck with him.
Yeah, and she gets captured, and man, they chain her to the floor, and like the water's rising. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to do that. No. She's just this poor diver who got pulled in, and they almost drown her. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I also love that the Bond's opening scene is gambling.
Yes,
and it's really, really well done. You get the very first Bond, James Bond.
Oh yeah, the classic.
And then the music, the it starts as soon as he says that. It's just really, really cool. He stands up, and you can see just how good Sean Connery looked in a suit.
They nailed the opening, dude.
So charming.
They nailed it.
All of a sudden, you are just like, I want to be that guy.
That guy is so cool.
That's the coolest guy I've ever seen.
He is so cool.
They really nailed it.
Really trippy opening. Really trippy opening.
Yeah.
It doesn't have your theme song yet.
Mm-mm.
Really trippy music. It's kind
of Jamaican music.
Yeah,
I think, is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it's a very straightforward story, which is good, and it's great. Like I said, he likes it more than I did, but I still thought it was great. Mm-hmm. Dr. No, it's worth watching to see where Bond started.
Fully, yeah.
If this movie was bad, we probably wouldn't have gotten the Bond that we have today.
Yes.
But I'm glad they nailed the opening, and it's a classic. Number 6, this one might be the most surprising, because I had never heard of this movie before.
No, me either.
Living Daylights. So this is Timothy Dalton's first, and I think this movie's great.
It is.
I really like it a lot. Really cool plot where this guy wants to defect from Russia, and like he has his girlfriend who like he tricks and stuff. I think he and her have really good chemistry. Some of the best chemistry, I think, of any of them.
Yeah, they do.
She really cares for him, and you can actually see why for once.
Yeah. Well, and she's stuck. She gets her character's cool because she doesn't know who to trust.
Yeah,
she's hearing different things from different people, and
this is one of the few where like I don't want to spoil the story too much because it's actually interesting.
Yeah, it is. The plot's really good.
Yeah, and she's competent. She goes out of her way to do the right things.
She's smart. She's articulate.
Yes.
It's like they actually spent time actually writing a human being.
Yeah. John Rhys Davies plays a Russian general, and he's great. I wish you would have seen him more. He's awesome. This one just really surprised me because, like, I don't hear anyone talk about this. And, like, that Reddit post you said you made, you also rate this one highly. And I remember one dude is like, I'm just glad you gave props to Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get as much love as he should, especially this movie.
Yeah.
Because this movie is really good. And you guys should all watch it for sure. Leagues above the one that came before it, which was... I don't remember, but it's a huge step up.
It would have been A View to a Kill, right?
Okay, then huge.
Yeah.
Huge step up.
Yeah.
Living Daylights, number 6. Number 5. All right, so.
Now we're getting into, like, good movies.
Really good movie. George Lazenby. Some of you guys might even know who he is. This dude did one Bond movie. He had never acted before. He was a model, I think. After Sean Connery left.
Is he the only he's the only non-European to play Bond, right?
Probably. Because he's Australian, right?
He's Australian. I think he's the only non-European to ever play Bond.
So after Sean Connery left, this dude did one movie, and then I think it said that like his agent convinced him that spy movies would die in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad.
Convinced him not to do any more.
So sad.
Which is horror. I hope he fired that agent.
But props to him. His one Bond movie is fantastic.
It's good.
It's really good. From what I've heard, it's one of the most accurate ones based on the book. And you can tell because the story is way more interesting than a lot of them.
Really thought out.
Really thought out. He's pretty good. He's not the best actor.
No.
But he does way better than he should considering he's never acted before.
He's better than Roger Moore.
Much better than Roger Moore.
Better than Roger Moore.
For sure. I don't want to spoil the plot that much.
Yeah.
I will say it probably is one of the most famous endings of all the Bond. I don't want to say what it is.
The ending is very famous and a surprise. Very
It
good.
is. And it's referenced for years and years and years.
Yes, it is. The main primary location is incredible.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Giant facility on top of the mountain. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And there's lots of awesome scenes. This is the OG where the ski chases started.
Yes.
It was this movie. Mm-hmm. And it has like 2 or 3 ski chases in it. And they're all good. They're all really good.
And it has the best large-scale battle in all of them, I think.
Yes.
I was actually like invested for once in a large-scale battle. And the Bond girl is great, too. She's very strong. You know, she's independent, which is more than you can say for a lot of the Bond girls. She's a great actress. I think she does a really good job. Please watch this movie. Please watch this movie.
You should watch it.
Watch it.
This is maybe my second favorite theme song.
Yes.
It's the only one that doesn't have any words, right?
Except the first one, I think.
Yeah,
too.
It's the only like instrumental.
But it's a good
Bond song.
It is a good song.
It's a really, really good song.
Dude, George Lazenby, you should have been Bond. I mean, Diamonds Are Forever still would have been bad.
Yeah, but it would have been better.
It would have been better if George Lazenby was in it. Oh yeah, so this is also the only one where the guy's final movie is good. But it's also his first movie.
Right.
Yes. All right, so that's number 5, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Number 4, also a classic, great song, one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Goldfinger. It's really good. Fantastic villain. One of the most famous villains, for sure.
Yes.
His scheme is actually unique. His plan is pretty cool.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a classic. This is
another classic ridiculous Bond girl name.
Yeah, do you want to say what it is?
Pussy Galore.
The classic.
Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore
is the Bond girl in
yes.
this film. But yeah, this one's good. It's got a really good, long, fun, intense climax. Huge battle scene.
Yep.
It's just a classic.
Yep. It's got your classic, Bond strapped to something with a laser slowly. When he could have shot him in the head. The intro credits are really cool because it's like the women dancing and it's like projected onto them.
Yes.
Really?
That's right.
It might be my favorite like visuals of any of the openings.
It is.
It's really cool.
And maybe the best one. The focus work with the camera in the opening scene is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Plus it's paired with a fantastic song too. Also, it has a horribly sexist line.
Yes, at the beginning.
Yes, in the beginning. Yeah, he's with this girl. Her name is Dink. Someone from MI6 comes up, and they're gonna talk about spy stuff. So he's like, "Say hi, Dink. Say bye, Dink." Man talk, and he slaps her butt.
Yes.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
It's really bad. It's by far the cringiest part of this movie. But if you can look past that, because it was the 60s. Wait, is she one that dies?
Yeah.
Okay. So she dies.
Hey, there's Dink.
Hey, there she is. I don't want to spoil anything else.
Yeah, it's about it.
You guys should watch it.
Definitely worth the watch.
Yeah, Pussy Galore. She's actually
all of these in I would say all of these in your top 10.
Yes,
are all worth.
She has a ridiculous name, but she's a good character. You can tell that she doesn't just fall for Bond just because she's supposed to. Yeah, really good. Goldfinger, number 4. Number 3. This one might also be a little controversial.
Yeah.
Skyfall.
A lot of the purists don't love this movie.
Yes. But, so, like I said before, we'd both seen all the Daniel Craig ones before. And, we watched this one again. And, after this one was over, I was like, dude, it's just good.
It's just so entertaining.
It's so good.
It's so entertaining.
Yes.
It really is. And it's really fun to look at. The action is incredible.
Yeah. The cinematography is fantastic.
Good. The acting's good. I think the main gripe with this one is the plot. From what I've read and stuff, is the characters making dumb decisions throughout the movie. That's the main gripe that I've heard with this. But I can look past it pretty easily because that happens in
Yes.
almost every Bond movie anyways, so I don't really see
it's not a big shocker characters making dumb decisions.
No.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to talk about Judi Dench.
Yes.
We haven't even mentioned Judi Dench.
Yes, we do.
So, there's a lot of side characters that are kind of recurring, right? There's M, who's basically his, like, handler.
His boss.
Yeah, she gives him all the missions. There's Q, who's the guy that gives him all the cool gadgets that he uses. But Judi Dench is probably... Moneypenny, who's sort of the secretary, who he flirts with nonstop but never actually does anything with. Judi Dench is my favorite of all of the side characters.
Yeah,
she is
incredible.
So good in this movie.
She's perfect.
She's almost the main Bond girl in this movie in a way. This is definitely M's biggest role in all of them, and she's great. Javier Bardem is the bad guy, right?
He's so good.
So good. His scene where it's like the single take where he walks down the hall.
Yeah,
explaining
out of the elevator down the hall.
Telling the story.
His first scene, yes.
It's so good.
About the rats.
Really good theme song, Adele.
I
like it a lot.
This is my favorite
theme
song. This is, of all the Bond songs, this one I think is the best.
It's a really good theme song for sure. Absolutely.
It's just so, it's such a hit. It really is such a hit.
Yeah. You can listen to it on its own and it's just great.
Yeah. This movie rocks. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's shot by freaking Roger Deakins, who is the greatest cinematographer of all time.
He's
and it shows. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah. Go look at Roger Deakins' filmography, and you'll be shocked with how many amazing movies he's done.
Thankfully,
he's the best of all time.
Thankfully, he won his last 2 Oscars. But before he won his last 2 Oscars, he went 0 for 13 at the Oscars. He was nominated for 13 Oscars straight without winning, and then he won his 14th and 15th nominations.
Thank God.
For Blade Runner 2049 and then 1917.
2 very well shot.
Yes, 2
amazing movies.
Yeah, amazing, incredible.
Technical wise, this movie is amazing. Yes, the story can be a little ridiculous at times.
The scene there's like this actual abandoned island.
Oh yeah.
In Japan, off the coast of Japan, where it used to be like a mining town, and it's actually like a real thing. You can look it up, and I think there's like still tourism there.
Yeah,
people go there, and there's a whole sequence shot on that island, which is really cool. Gorgeous scenes filmed in like Scotland, which are just incredible.
The mansion. There's a beautiful mansion, just like in a valley or something.
It's Ralph Fiennes' first movie.
Oh yeah,
this is his first movie.
A lot of the purists might not like it that much, but damn it, it's a good movie. I like it a lot.
Most
of you have probably seen it, honestly. But number 3, Skyfall. All right, let's talk about GoldenEye. Pierce's first movie. What a first movie, dude!
It's so good.
What a good movie. You'd actually never seen this. I'd seen this one before. A lot of people know the classic video game.
Yes.
Classic video game. One of the best movie video game adaptations ever. But yeah, so what'd you think about this one first time you saw it?
I remember this is his first movie, right?
Yeah, Pierce's first
movie.
Yeah.
And I remember when the opening scene was playing, I just remember thinking, finally we've gotten to the modern movie.
Yes.
Like, finally.
What a step up, camera-wise, action-wise.
We'd watched like 18 movies before this, and this was the first one where it finally felt current and modern, and like you didn't have to look through the lens of like, okay, it's old.
Yes, it's old, it's campy.
I have to forgive a lot of, the rough around the edges when it comes to the action and the humor and that kind of thing. This was the first one that felt like
feels modern for sure. Yeah.
Like you watch it and you don't think, oh, this is an old movie.
Yeah.
He's so handsome.
He is very handsome.
He's such a good looking dude.
He is.
I just remember, I think I said when we were watching this movie.
Yeah, we watched this one together too.
And I think it was the second scene, and I just remember I said, I can't believe him and Roger Moore are playing the same character.
I think it was literally the first minute he was on screen. He's like sneaking around the base, and you're like, look at this guy.
Like,
this guy's amazing. This movie is the perfect combination of campy and serious. There are still campy elements, like the tank chase through the city is insane, but in a good way. This has, it's so good. And it's so sad because the later Pierce ones get so much more campy again.
Yes.
But they hit the sweet spot with this one, man.
They really did. Sean Bean is great.
Sean Bean is fantastic.
Alan Cumming is in it.
Alan Cumming is in it. This is Judi Dench's first movie.
Yep.
I love her first scene because she sits him down and she's like, you're this sexist dinosaur.
You're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
And you're like, oh.
And you're like, tell it like it is,
Judy! Tell him.
It's so
Tell him
cool.
off, Judy.
It's like the first. It's really the first sign of people actually realizing that the James Bond character is very flawed and very old-fashioned, and like maybe not this aspiring like, oh, this is who I want to be as a person. Like,
this is a manly man.
Yeah, actually, this guy's kind of an asshole.
He's kind of a dick. He's pretty misogynistic.
He like does not respect women in any way.
No.
He can get pretty racist in the earlier movies.
Yes.
So it's like it finally feels like the first attempt at like trying to shift the narrative and actually make him be like a respectable human being, like a decent person. Which is really, it was a breath of fresh air for sure.
It is, for sure. Really great climax on that hanging, like, structure.
Mm-hmm.
There's this...
Which just, you see, this year, it fell.
Oh, bummer. I didn't see that.
They decommissioned it.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it fell.
What a cool setting that was.
It was amazing.
And, and, like, there's a hand-to-hand fight at the end. You said, like, this is light years better than any
other
fighting.
movie before that.
It is so much better.
Yeah. It's like they finally put on their big boy pants and made a movie.
There's like a 6-year gap between this and the previous one or something?
Yeah.
6-year gap.
6-year gap. And I'm gay. They took all the time they needed.
Yes.
They made a great movie.
Yes. It's a soft reboot in a way. Mm-hmm. It's not a total reboot like the Daniel Craig ones are a complete reboot where like nothing else before happened. You know, like he starts over. Mm-hmm. But it's a soft reboot, but so good, dude. Mm-hmm. Such a good movie. Number 2, GoldenEye. All right, number 1. Let's talk about Casino Royale.
Classic.
So many people have talked about this movie. Everyone was shocked with how good it was. Daniel Craig got so much crap.
Yeah, he got
Poor Daniel Craig. He shouldn't be blonde. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look like Bond.
He's too short.
Like I said before, action-wise, he's the best by far.
He's not even close.
In terms of his stunts, his hand-to-hand fighting, his chasing. That opening chase scene through the construction site is so good.
Yes.
It's the best like chase scene in the entire franchise, for sure. Ava Green.
My favorite Bond girl.
Yes, Vesper Lynn.
She's easily my favorite Bond girl of any of the movies.
She's really good.
Yeah.
Ava Green is a fantastic actress. Mm-hmm. She's been in a billion things. She's always great. One of my favorite scenes of her is the scene where she and Bond like fight the guy on the staircase. And he goes back to the room later, and she's just sitting in the shower crying, like in her clothes.
Yeah.
One of the only times in the entire franchise where somebody is affected by violence, because so many of these Bond girls are just normal people.
And like probably the only time where a Bond girl being in the shower does not follow them hooking up.
Yes.
Like he comforts her like a human being.
Yeah. He just sits down with her, and they just kind of hug. Like they hug, and then that's the scene.
Yeah.
But man, so many of these Bond girls see so much death and violence and just don't care.
They just brush it.
They brush it off, or they're like, Bond, or like they get mad at him.
Yeah.
Or they do some one-liner.
She's like, I'm a deep sea diver, and then he kills 6 people right in front of her, and she's like, all right, let's go.
I'm a nuclear physicist, and then just massacres people.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's actually affected. She's smart.
Torture scene, another one of the
great torture scene. Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy. He's fantastic.
One of 2 with a torture scene. This one and Die Another Day.
Yes,
are the only Bond movies with.
What an effective torture scene this is still.
Yeah,
it's pretty brutal.
It's brutal, but he makes it funny.
He does, because he's doing his whole like a little to the left. Like, I have a scratch. Like, can you scratch it for me?
Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen is incredible.
Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy, Le Chiffre.
Yes, he's so good. We get Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter.
Wright, yeah. Felix is a recurring U.S. agent character. He's kind of Bond's liaison to like the CIA. And yeah, this is the best like version of him for sure.
Mm-hmm. Only thing I remember thinking, there were 2 things that I didn't like about it. Mm-hmm. One was I thought it was a little longer than it needed to be.
It is, yeah.
There were a couple.
There's a lot of poker scenes.
There were a few scenes.
Maybe one too many poker scene. They could have cut it down a little bit.
I thought it was a little too long. If they had cut 20 minutes ish off of it, I thought it would have been better. 2 was I get why they were trying to just totally reboot the idea of James Bond.
Yes.
And just bring him down to reality.
Yes, way more grounded.
100%.
For sure.
But I don't like that they, along with that, they made sure that there were like literally 0 gadgets.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of gadgets. There's like no gadgets.
There's no gadgets in the whole movie.
It's him and a gun.
Like he has a gun. The closest thing to a gadget is the
defibrillator. Yeah,
that they use the portable defibrillator, which I don't think exists. I think you need it to be hooked up to some sort of generator. So that, I would have loved a little bit more gadgetry, but this movie just rocks.
Yeah.
It's so
if that's the most negative there is of this movie,
yeah,
it's clearly inspired by the Jason Bourne movies, like we said before.
Yes.
But I think that's to the benefit.
Well, yeah, no one, if you had gone and seen the Bourne movies, which is like some of the best action ever caught on camera.
Yeah.
Then they kept the whole campy, sort of silly vibe. It just would have gotten blown out of the water.
What a difference between Die Another Day and this movie.
Yeah, and they're not even that. How far apart are they?
Let's see. Die Another Day was 2002, so 4 years.
4 years later.
To completely revamp.
It feels like 20.
It does.
When you watch these movies.
Yeah. This is a modern movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, Daniel Craig proved everyone wrong. He blew it out of the park, blew it out of the water.
Looks great in a suit.
Looks great. He's pretty suave. He's pretty good.
His voice is perfect.
Yes.
The suaveness is great. He has a great mix of actual serious acting, and he still brings a lot of the charming humor.
He does.
It's great.
It's not as humorous as the previous ones, how there's way less one-liners. It's way more grounded and gritty, and it does it super well. And it's just a fantastic movie. I'm sure most of you guys have seen this one. This is like one of the most famous of all of them. My number one, your number, I don't know, is it top 5 for you?
For sure.
For sure.
I think this may be my number one as well.
Really?
Yeah. Or I think.
Well, you said Skyfall for a while.
I think Skyfall's my 1 and Casino Royale's my 2.
All right. That's all. 24 of the Bond movies.
We did it.
Final thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts on the experience as a whole of watching all of them? What do you think?
I just couldn't believe how many of them were not worth watching.
I know. It's so sad.
There are actually.
It's
I
so
would
sad.
I would actually say there are 5 or 6 movies.
Yeah.
Where they're so bad that I could not believe they kept going.
How did they keep making
the
more?
How do you not call it quits?
After View to a Kill,
movie,
Diamonds Are Forever,
like,
or Die Another Day.
Yeah, Die Another Day, Octopussy.
Moonraker.
Like, there are so many movies where they're so bad where I'm like, how do you raise the money you need to keep going?
How do you get investors to go?
How do you get the green light?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But they did it somehow, and we've gotten some really good ones along the way.
We've gotten some good ones, yeah. And I feel bad because it's such a legendary series.
Yeah.
Going into this, I'm like, okay, most of these movies are going to be really good, but so many of them were just not good.
Yeah.
Like, campy and misogynistic, racist for some of them. We picked on Roger Moore a lot, but he really
He
is...
sucks, dude. He's earned it, man.
Maybe he's a nice guy, but man, he was not a good choice. 7 movies? The experience itself was really enjoyable, though. Like, I was actually sad when I finished.
Yeah,
Because even the bad ones, most of them are entertaining in some way. Not all of them. Some of them are just garbage.
The worst ones were the ones that weren't terrible.
Yes,
like,
they were just blah.
The From Russia with Loves,
Man with the Golden
Man
Gun.
with the Golden Guns, like those ones where they're just
You can't even laugh at them.
For me, like Live and Let Die, where it's just like you can't laugh at them, but they're not good. They're just like boring. You just find yourself like looking at your phone.
And like there's nothing to talk about because it's like, well, this one scene was cool. The setting was cool. The setting was cool for most of these, honestly. The setting's always pretty cool. Most of the plots are basically the same. We talked about the few interesting plots. Mm-hmm. All the other ones we didn't mention were Bond has to
stop
a bomb. He has to rescue a kidnapped person. He has to stop something from being captured.
Yeah, it's pretty basic.
Bond sleeps with the girl at the end.
And sometimes
MI6 is like, where's Bond? What could he possibly be doing?
Oh.
And they catch him sleeping with the girl like at least 10 times.
Like, and that's how it ends.
And every time they're James.
Like,
Bond, that Bond.
Dude, in like actually like maybe the first 15 movies straight, the movie ends with him getting laid. Like, that's how the movie ends.
Yes.
That's all I got.
I would not recommend someone watch every Bond movie.
No.
Unless you have literally nothing to do for months.
We did it so you don't have to.
Yes, exactly. You're welcome.
Yes.
We saved you guys the trouble. Watch the ones in our top 10 for sure.
Yeah, watch the ones we put in our top 10 and you'll be fine.
For the most part, our lists were pretty similar. Sure, we had a couple that are like 4 or 5 spots, but for the most part, they were pretty similar. Mm-hmm. Probably the biggest one was... What do you think was the biggest one that we...
I had Moonraker a good amount higher.
Yeah, just because it was dumb and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had Live and Let Die lower. I also had Spectre lower.
Yeah.
I had Dr. No higher and On Her Majesty's Secret Service higher. But, whatever.
Yeah.
No, yeah, nothing crazy where it was like one of us liked a movie and the other one
thought it was garbage.
Thought it was terrible.
Like, View to a Kill is my favorite. No, nobody would think that.
No.
Although I saw one hot take in his thread, because, like, he made a Reddit thread where he put his. Someone said that Thunderball was the worst Sean Connery movie, and that, like, broke my brain.
Yeah.
How could someone think that was worse than Diamonds Are Forever, dude? I don't get it.
Or You Only Live Twice.
Or You Only Live Twice. I don't understand. That is a hot take if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, watch the top 10. Some of them are really, really good. Final thing I want to do before we go.
Yeah.
Let's rate our Bonds.
Ooh, okay. Like actor-wise?
Yeah, actor-wise.
Okay.
From 1 to 6.
You want to start at 1 or 6?
Let's just start at 6 because we both have the
All right,
same 6.
1, 2, 3. Roger Moore. Roger Moore. Oh, man. I think another reason I don't like him is he got so many movies. He should not have had. If he had like 2 or 3, I don't think I would have hated him nearly as much. But this dude should not have had 7 freaking movies.
It's crazy that he has the most.
He's too old in like the 3rd movie.
Yeah,
he's on the border in the 1st movie.
Yeah.
He's not suave. He comes across as like the creepy old uncle, like the pervy uncle.
In Pierce's last movie, Die Another Day, he is more athletic and more handsome and better suited.
He's just
to play
better
James
Bond. He's just Bond
than Moore in Moore's first movie.
Yes. All right, who's number 5?
For me, it is Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, which doesn't mean he's bad. It just means the rest are really good.
Yeah, the other 5. Roger Moore is the only one of the 6 that I would think is a bad James Bond. That I don't like him as James Bond. I think he was miscast.
He's a good actor. He's been in other stuff. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
He had one good movie, one really good movie. Mm-hmm. Dude, if they had gotten Pierce when they wanted to, if Pierce had been in these two, oh man.
So I would have loved to see Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
As 5.
Yeah. I would say number 4 would be George Lazenby.
Yep, same.
Mostly because he only got one movie.
Right.
He should have had more. I almost put him as number 5 just because he only had one movie. Mm-hmm. But really props to him, dude. Never acted before. He was a model. He came into one of the biggest franchises in the world and did way better than he had any right to.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he did.
It also helped, like the movie was just fantastic overall too. Mm-hmm. But I thought he was good. I thought he should have stayed on for at least a couple more.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him get 1 or 2 more under his belt, but
yeah. All right, number 3.
This is probably where we differ. I think probably in our top 3.
Okay, you go first because
my number 3 is Daniel Craig.
Okay.
Yeah, my number 3 is Daniel Craig. I think all 3 of the top 3 are great.
Yeah, they're all great.
I'm trying to also separate them from the quality of the movies that they made, and just take them
that's true.
for like just who they were when they portrayed James Bond. I think Daniel Craig is my number 3, and that says more about how good the other 2 are rather than any faults with him or his performance.
Yeah, we do differ because actually, I do Pierce at number 3.
Okay.
I think Pierce is my number 3. I mean, like any one of these 3, if you would call them the best, I'd say sure.
I wouldn't.
Fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I
no
wouldn't
issues
have a
there.
problem with it for any of these 3.
If you say Roger Moore, though, then
you're
in trouble.
Issue.
So, like, the reason I have him at number 3 instead of the other 2 is because, one, I mean, come on, it's Sean Connery. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, he's probably my favorite of the top 3 from a look standpoint.
Pierce?
I think, like, even more than Sean Connery. Mm-hmm. He's not as good as the action as Daniel Craig. Right? But looks-wise, he's perfect. It's just like, I just think the other 2 are just a little bit better, right?
Sure.
All right, so number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2
Pierce?
is... No.
Really?
Yeah, my number 2 is Sean Connery.
This dude.
My number 2 is Sean Connery.
This dude said for so long that Sean Connery is the best. No one's going to beat him. Wow.
I think that what it is
wow.
If Sean Connery had stopped after like 3 movies...
Maybe 4, but yeah.
I think that maybe he would get the top spot, but his last 2 or 3 movies, it really soured me to him. It really did. Not because the movies were bad, but because I didn't like his performance.
He didn't put in the effort at all.
He didn't put in the effort.
He just wanted the paycheck for sure.
And he just didn't. He didn't look it anymore. He looked too old. Yeah. And he looked like he couldn't keep up. And it's not his fault. He's a human. He's Asian.
Yeah.
But
wow, surprising. I didn't expect that at all.
So I have Sean Connery as number 2.
Okay.
And Pierce Brosnan as my top spot for favorite James Bond.
Well, Sean Connery is also my number 2.
Okay.
if they had had anyone else except for Sean, I don't think it would have been nearly as successful.
No. I will say that the one movie for me that encapsulates James Bond the best is Sean Connery in Dr. No.
Okay. I would say that, but for Goldfinger, but yeah, sure. He's a handsome dude. He looks fantastic in his suit.
No one will ever look as good in a suit as Sean Connery.
Him with Moneypenny. His flirting was great with her. Action-wise, not that great.
No.
I mean, you know, it was 60s action. It's not going to be that great anyway.
Yeah. No actors could fight back then.
What a classic Bond. Great actor. What a good choice. And then my number one is going to be Daniel Craig. Because acting-wise, he's great. Action-wise, no one's even close.
No.
In terms of stunts and hand-to-hand combat. And you could tell he really really put in the work.
Pierce could have been close.
Yes.
Like, because there are scenes, especially in GoldenEye, where it's really good.
Yeah.
But then
his hand-to-hand fight scene at the end is fantastic.
The movies got silly.
Yes.
They went towards campy and away from the gritty. And I think that because of that, he didn't ever get to really show it off. But yes, you are correct. Daniel Craig, for sure, is the best from the stunt action perspective.
And I think he's actually pretty charming. He is pretty suave.
Yeah, no, totally.
He's great.
Oh, of course.
He's a handsome dude.
His voice is great.
He got so much shit for being blonde. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue eye. That can't be Bond.
Hilarious.
What a stupid reason to not like a Bond.
So dumb.
But yeah, okay, so your number one is... Pierce. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, you said it was the final few movies of Sean Connery that really...
That just, yeah.
I can tell, like, Pierce actually was trying.
Yeah, and even though Die Another Day is a god-awful movie...
It really is.
Like,
it's really bad.
Like, if you just, like, take a screenshot of Pierce Brosnan in that Aston Martin... You're like, oh, that is James Bond. Like, even though everything around it is garbage.
I mean, like, Pierce is great, for sure. Man, he should have done the Timothy Dalton movies. If we had 6 of his, he would have had three good ones. And that would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you then. What is your number one choice for next Bond? If you had to choose...
If I had to choose anyone to be the next Bond?
Yes.
Oh, man.
There
was talk of Idris Elba.
Yes, I've heard that.
Which is cool.
He's pretty old right now, though.
He's too old now.
Maybe one movie.
I think there's going to be... Yeah, I think you got to avoid someone that's too old.
He could nail the suave, though. He's pretty suave.
Yeah, the suave and...
His voice is awesome.
Great in his suit. He's got a great voice, so...
He's good at action.
Yeah, if you had done it earlier, I think that he would have been great. I really can't... Tom Hardy, I think, would be a really good one.
He's like the front runner, I guess, from what I've heard.
Tom Hardy would be a really good James Bond, for sure.
He'd be the gruntiest James Bond.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. But if you get him, if you get him to shave and
he's a good-looking dude, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
He can rock a suit, for sure.
Do you have any? I don't have any that really...
I'm trying to think of, like, maybe, like, a late 20s, early 30s guy.
Yeah, rush to mind. I could honestly see them just casting a woman.
Sure, you could cast a woman. Why not?
I really could see that happening. I could totally see them doing that after Daniel Craig and just do a whole other reboot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, Charlize Theron, like, kicks ass. And...
Dude, Charlize Theron would be sick.
That would be very interesting.
Super sick. I mean, even, like, a younger Halle Berry would have been a dope James Bond.
Yeah, younger Halle Berry would have been great. Yeah, there's a lot of good, like, action women right now. Maybe even, like, Angelina Jolie could have been okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the whole...
I
theory that James Bond is just his code name, and it's actually not the same guy.
Right.
It's just a new character, which is an interesting...
They just give him a fake name.
Yeah, they give him a fake name, and he's the new 007, and it's not actually the same actor. Although, the fact that he referenced stuff that happened to him before kind of disproves that theory.
Yes.
But it's an interesting theory, and they could totally do that.
But I if I had to guess, I would assume they're going to choose a guy, but they could do it.
Of course, there'd be all the stupid people like, you can't do that.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
James Bond has to be a straight white male.
What next? A dog?
What next? A female Doctor Who? Oh, crap. Man, that's it.
All right, guys.
Any other final stuff you want to talk about?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
I'm talked out.
What about, like, Tom Cruise's Bond?
No, I don't think
No?
I don't think it would have worked. I do want them to be British always.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Maybe that's the one line that I'll draw. The only line that I'll draw is that he's got it. They have to be British. All right.
All right. I guess that's it, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to everyone for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.